and welcome to Watchdog Wargaming. Way back in December of 1990, in White Dwarf issue 132, on page 47, in the modelling workshop, you could make scratch build yourself a Bainblade. Way back then, when I couldn't afford things, I had a go at scratch building the Bainblade from the actual plans. If I get everything right, what I'll do is I'll upload the plans onto my Watchdog Wargaming Facebook page. So if you fancy having a go yourself, then please feel free to download the plans and let's have a look at your scratch build Bainblade. So the plans were created by a gentleman called Tony Cottrell, and I'm just if I can find the actual article here now. It says, yep, something a little bit more than adventurous for this month's modelling workshop. Scratch building a Bainblade tank for Warhammer 40,000. This isn't as difficult as it first appears. Yeah, right. But it's probably best to have tried at least a couple of the conversions presented in previous articles before attempting this project. Well, my model making by that time was probably an airfix Spitfire and painting a couple of beaky Marines and one or two Imperial Guard at that time. But scratch building a Bainblade tank using the plans and anything from my bit box wasn't something that I actually considered at the time. So I will put all the plans and pictures of it here at the moment. So in the actual White Dwarf, you had an article of sort of what sort of things that you needed to have. I use plastic cards, lots of glue, scalpels, scissors, and anything else that you probably need on there as well. It just gives you basic tips on health and safety of mind your fingers when you're cutting and everything else. And also, it also indicated that if you had spare parts from, let's say a Predator tank, you could include it in the scratch building kit. The actual plans itself was laid out on the sort of the A4 sort of size of the magazine, and there was one thing that I failed to follow was that it suggested that you photocopy the plans but increase them by a certain percentage. I missed that bit and slightly increased the percentage of what it actually should have been. So instead of actually having a Bainblade sized tank, which was reasonable size, I ended up with this huge great big las cannon magnet, but still made it. It looked good. I actually found it in the attic the other day. I thought I'd lost it. It is looking a little bit the worse for wear, but I'll pull it out in a minute. But on the actual White Dwarf page, all the plans were there of the sides, side sponsons, the turrets, even the actual tracks you can make out of track pads itself. You can actually make out of plastic card. It also showed you. Give you the top tips on how to make the rivets for the side of the sponson and everything else, the size of the barrels, and in mine I think the actual barrel was the two barrels were drop pods of I think it's probably a 1/43, 1/48 scale aircraft at the time. I just basically used anything I can get hold of. I'll put all the plans up here as I'm talking, so you can actually see what what I'm talking about. They are quite fiddly, and it was one thing I did find was actually labelling the parts what it was as I cut them out of the plastic card and then put them to one side. It also gives you sort of like instructions of how suggested where you start and everything else. I just didn't really read that and just went in all guns blazing. It's of how to make the tracks, how to make the turret parts, the main turret, side sponsons, suggestions, and everything else. and then right at the end of it, it actually gives you the data card what the actual Bainblade was. So once it was built, you could actually use it in your gaming at the time. I'm not sure which edition it was. Probably it wasn't Rogue Trader, so it must have been just the one afterwards. Then it's a suggested sort of paint guides for it as well. Again, I'll put it all on here. So just bear with me a second. I will dig out the words of what I made. Now, so as you can see, it's this is the homemade Bainblade from those plans way back in 1990. This hasn't sort of fared so well, and sort of, as you can see, my modelling skills back in there were something to be desired. It is missing its main gun, so it's I think this is, if you look underneath, yeah, that's the drop pod. One of them I was using for the barrel here, and then there was a second one that was actually used for the main one up there as well. It was very, as I said, I couldn't afford one at the time, and this was the next option. I'm sure that if I had a go at the plans again, using sort of my modelling knowledge gained over the years, and with a bit more patience this time, because that was one of the key things that I failed miserably to. I just rushed. So the rivets are actually made, as you can see, they're quite chunky. They were made from sprues, just cut off and then glued on. There's bits of looks like motorcycle here. I think these must have been a after edition because they're not painted. So it's probably my oldest son was probably using this at some time as well. As you can see, it's got the old bolters, heavy bolters, and the last cannon as well for the side sponsons. And it did have, in fact, there's one left there. You can see it. There's actually the one of the old type beaky bolters is actually there. So this side sponson would have had that type of bolter put onto the side there, and various bits and bobs. I think that came off some more vehicles. That looks like some T-34 tank wheels at some point. Back again after that, a little bit of a disaster. The gremlins are certainly back in the my office tonight. As I was saying, that this is slightly bigger than what the plans actually originated, so probably a little bit more percentage on there. I will put all the plans up on the Watchdog Wargaming Facebook page, so if anybody wants to download it and have a go themselves. The other things I was using for tracks, if you can actually have a look, these are the actual round slotter bases, and at the back of them is actually cork. So it's some cork that I had probably gone for a local pub or anything like that, and then just put these on there as well. Yeah, so back in the day, a lot of things weren't available. You couldn't get them off the shelf unless it cost a lot of money for resin. But certainly 3D printing wasn't around, and certainly unless you had lots and lots of money to afford the models at the time, which I certainly didn't. Scratch building was one of the best option. That's the one thing that so the White Dwarf that I miss in some things is that they had a modelling workshop page, and everything and anything you could possibly think of to scratch build something, whether it was a Bainblade or a castle or something. There was always some brilliant idea that you could have a go at. But there we are. Now, one of the models I've always wanted was actually a Bainblade, and a couple of years ago I was lucky to pick one up at a Wargames convention down in Bournemouth, and bought it, got very excited about it, got lots and lots of plans, and forgot to make it. And it's actually, when I found this, the actual I found the Bainblade box as well. So so here we are, one of those models that I've always wanted to build, I've now got. So it's down to me to get on with it. So what I'll do is I will. I've had a quick sneaky peek on it as well. It's still sticky taped to one side, but what I'll do is I'll do another sort of opening of this. Now I believe this is the version that only gives you like 2 options, and the more recent version of this Bainblade gives you, I think it's 8 options. I could be wrong, because I know there's different types of Bainblade. Let's have a look on this one. Yeah, this one gives you the Bainblade, or it gives you something called a Hellhammer. Yeah, and that's it. But I think there's about 4 other versions of that. So Warhammer, was it Warhammer Apocalypse? So whenever that was. But that'll be next on my next video. We'll do an unboxing of that. I've already got plans for what I'm going to paint it. I do like my German vehicle, so I might actually either do this in ambush colours or go mad and do the Berlin Brigade camo, lots of squares, and the urban cam, lots of squares on that. But yeah, that's going completely mad. But I'll have a think about it. But there we are. So going from that to that is certainly an upgrade. So what I'll do is, I said, I'll put up all the plans on the website, and I'll make sure that as I'm talking, you'll see all the sort of the plans and the pictures will magically appear here. And yeah, we'll sort of and hopefully 1 or 2 of you will be mad enough to have a go to scratch building your own Bainblade. As I said, it was an interesting project. Took my mind off a lot of things, and to be honest, I actually might have another go myself and get it right this time. So thanks for joining me, and if you like what I'm doing, don't forget to like and subscribe below, and let's see if I can crawl my way up to the 1,000 subscribers. So you take care, and I will catch up with you all very, very soon. Bye for now.
Squad morale restored.